Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah, of course.
I figured it, out of all the conversations we've had in the gym,
Mhm.
it's time we, maybe put one of those to good use.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, well, for me personally too, like after working here and working in this industry for such a long time,
Mhm.
um, you know, you need a lot of things to sort of fill the gaps throughout your day
Mhm.
because it's really, really fun doing this and it's incredible. And I feel lucky, I'm sure you feel the same way to do
Mhm.
this every day.
Mhm.
But, the better relationships and friendships you can have with people, whether it's your clients or
Yep.
whether it's your coworkers, definitely makes it even more enjoyable
Yeah.
and allows you to, at least I feel like you can just keep doing this forever
Yeah.
because you're just having fun and it's,
Yeah.
it's really hard work. I mean, just like I do, you go home and
Mhm.
sometimes you feel so broken that you don't know how you're going to get up the next day and do it
Yeah.
all over again. And then you do,
Yeah.
but it's the people that we work with
Mhm.
and the people that we train with that make it a lot easier. Once you're here, it's
Mhm.
just like, I feel like it's just like when people have a hard time working out, if they can make it to the gym and
Mhm.
they're good to go. It's kind of like that for us with
Yeah.
work. I feel like
Yeah.
as long as I can get in my car and walk in the door,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I might be kind of pissed for like an hour or two, but
It's like, at least, like, the obstacle of, like, who I'm around isn't, like,
yeah.
the problem,
Yeah.
it's like, I can as long as the environment's alright, then it's like I can
Yeah.
deal with the actual work that's
Yeah. And I remember, I think it was sometime this week, it was like 2 hours in and I was like, hey, Adrienne, you go, hey, finally said hi or something.
Well, it's like 5:30, 6:30, it's like, we don't really need to say anything.
Yeah, yeah, and I was especially smoked this week, so I was like, "I'll just say hi later and whatever."
Yeah, I mean, it's early and it's like, "Yes,
Yeah.
hello."
No, you get it. Yeah, the thing that really kind of sprung me into wanting to have you on the podcast, aside from just us,
Mhm,
just getting to know each other really well over the last several years,
mhm,
was you did a race in Paris recently, and when you sort of told me that you were going to do that, my brain started, like thinking a little bit. I was like,
mhm,
man, we should probably do a podcast about the
mm,
Paris race.
yeah,
And then that kind of led me on to all these other things, like just sort of the history of you being here and blah, blah, blah.
mhm,
So the race he did was on April 13th. Was
mm,
that the race date?
mhm,
So talk to me a little bit about how that came to be
mhm,
and how you found it, and then just some of the planning that went into it. And then
mhm,
we can talk about the actual race day and all that.
sure. So, I found the Paris Marathon, like, kind of looking for marathons to do, and, like, I'd done the Chicago Marathon in October of 2024,
Mhm.
so just last
Oh, yeah.
October,
Okay.
and so that was, like, I was training for that and the triathlon at the same time.
Mhm.
So I did, like, a full triathlon block, and then I did 7 weeks of the, marathon block, and during that time, I was like I knew about Paris, and it wasn't, like, a world major, but
Yeah.
I still, like, had heard about it, and I was like, "That would be really cool to do."
Yeah.
Um, I've been to Paris, like, a handful of times and, like, really like the
So
city.
you're a little
It's
familiar.
Yeah, it's probably, like, my favorite city in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
I
I
think
just
it's
love Paris.
definitely me and Katie's top
Yeah.
one or three, or
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
up there.
It's
Yeah,
top 3.
for sure.
And so I was just like, "That would be so cool to do a marathon there."
Yeah.
And so I kinda, like around the Chicago marathon training block, I decided I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And also given that, like, Chicago, I really trained, like, 7 weeks for that, and then for Paris, I could have, like, a full, like, 16-week block.
Yeah.
That was kinda, like, another motivator.
Gotcha. So
Yep.
what was the time frame difference between the Tri and then the Chicago Marathon? Because it sounded like they were semi close together.
Yeah. So, like, the Chicago Tri that I did, that was in October or no, that was in, August,
Hmm.
and then the marathon was in September, or no, the marathon was in October.
Yeah. So
So we had,
close.
like, 6 weeks.
Yeah. Okay, got you. So did that give you a lot of confidence to want to go do the Paris thing?
Yeah, I mean, I'd already, like, experienced the marathon at least, so I was like, "Well, I've done the mileage, like, I know I can, you know, theoretically complete the miles."
Yeah.
And, yeah, I did have, like, a little more confidence going into Paris for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that would make me a little bit nervous to travel,
Yeah.
internationally, even though you're used to doing the same thing here and you're somewhat comfortable with it. You're
Yeah.
going to a completely different place, completely
Mhm.
different country,
Mhm.
culture.
Mhm.
You gotta deal with the travel and all that. So what was
Mhm.
it like traveling there? You said you got there a handful of days
Mhm.
early just to settle in.
Mhm.
So what was it traveling like to get there, in the sense of like what's going through your brain,
Mhm.
like thinking? Because usually when you travel, it's just fun. You're like
Mhm.
almost just relaxing. You're
Yeah.
kind of like checked out on your flight to your destination, but I feel
Yeah.
like this was probably a little bit different, right?
Yeah. So, right, like, normally on vacation, you're, like, not trying to think about a thing you have to go do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, you know, prep-wise, like, making sure I'm bringing everything I need, like, knowing all this stuff probably won't be there, like, the exact same brands, like, getting the
Yeah.
gels and stuff and all
Yeah.
the stuff you're used to. Um, and then, like, I don't know, I guess I had kind of I was much more relaxed for the Paris Marathon than I was for the Chicago Marathon.
Interesting.
I think for the Chicago Marathon, I don't think it was like I put a lot of pressure on myself for that one, and it's sort of like, "Well, why'd you do that? Because you only, like, really trained 7 weeks, like,
Uh,
specifically for that."
yeah.
But I think with Paris, it was kinda like, "Alright, we've done, like, 16 to 18 weeks of, like, this training.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna go run the Paris Marathon, like, we don't need to be, like we're gonna be locked in for that day, and we're
Yeah.
gonna have, like, a good time, but,
Yeah.
like, really, you've done everything that you need to do, and
Yeah.
so, like, you're at the Airbnb, you have all your food and stuff there, like, that was something to prep for it. I didn't get, like, a hotel because
Yeah.
I wanted to, like, have a kitchen and all that sorta thing.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess prep-wise, like, I'd ran in Paris a few times, like, leading up to it.
Yeah.
Um, got there plenty of time in advance to, like, settle in with the
Makes
jet
sense.
lag and,
Yeah.
like I don't know, I felt like I think because there was kind of that, like, little vacation time, it felt,
Yeah.
like, more relaxed on the day.
Yeah, and I would say from the outside looking in, and I could probably say for like our whole gym is
Mhm,
that that was sort of the vibe that it seemed like leading
mm,
up to
mhm,
you going over there to do
mm,
that run,
mm,
and it seemed right. It just seemed like you weren't too relaxed about it, and it seemed like you weren't too nervous about it, and it's probably because you had a long prep time, like you were saying. It's just
mhm,
like powerlifting or any other thing that you're doing competitively. If you have a long prep for it, you're going
mm,
to be a little bit more ready for it instead of a short one. But sometimes
yeah,
that's how it is. Sometimes you just gotta
yeah,
do shit last minute to make it happen. I've done that
yeah,
before too.
yeah, I think before with, like, the Chicago Tri and the marathon, I was like, "Wouldn't that be really cool to, like, do both so close together?"
Yeah.
And, like, on social media, you see, like, kind of a lot of that sort of thing,
Yeah.
and, like, you also see people running, like, sub 4-hour first time marathons, and
Yeah.
so you have all these, like, ideas of how it should go, and then you're kinda
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
maybe, like, brutally humbled. You're like, "Yeah, so that's not me, and that's alright."
Yeah, it is funny to see things online and, you have to learn how to differentiate between
Mhm,
you're seeing people's highlight reels, and
mhm,
then that's your motivation,
mhm,
which is good, but then also taking it in and making sure that that's something that you can actually do, like,
yeah,
day of is a little bit different story. Not that you
yeah,
shouldn't shoot for that, but I
yeah,
got caught up thinking things too. Even
yeah,
with jujitsu, I've seen, things online that worked for a guy like, "Oh,
mm,
here's this sick move that I do, and it got me gold in a couple tournaments." And I was like,
mm,
"I could totally do that." And I went to go drill it, and it took
mm,
me an hour to maybe get one.
yeah,
It was sort of right.
yeah, yeah,
But watching it on my
right,
phone, I'm like, "I can nail that." So that's, like, so simple and so
right.
easy.
Yeah, it's like, that should take, like, a few months maybe or a
Yeah,
few
yeah.
hours to get that. It's like, actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
and, the other thing that kind of, got me really excited about you going over to do that, and I know you had said you'd been there before too, but
Mm,
it's sorta like a lot of the people in this gym, whether it's people that work here
mhm,
or whether it's people that, train here with us, I feel like a lot of the sort of luxuries that
mhm,
we get in life is
mhm,
earned. It's
mhm,
really worked for, and
mhm,
people really bust their ass to get it.
mhm,
So it made me pretty happy that, as someone that works here, you could be like, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit of time off.
mhm,
I'm going to go over to Europe. I'm going to do a race.
mhm.
That, like you totally deserve to just have the time off and enjoy yourself. And all of your clients understand,
Yeah,
the people that you work with understand. And I just think that's a really awesome thing for us to strive for to like, everyone wants to do better.
mhm.
And it's just nice to be able to like pull the trigger on those things once in a while,
Yeah,
and actually see like what the results are of you being here every day at
yeah,
5:36,
yeah,
split shifting, coming back here,
yeah,
working at 6,
yeah, yeah.
lifting in the evening or God knows when,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
like, it doesn't happen magically, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So how did the race go in Paris? Like,
Mhm,
what was the actual experience of the race? Because I didn't
mm,
get to talk to you about it too much. I kind of
mhm,
tried not to,
mm.
because I knew we would eventually,
Do this.
yeah. So just
Mm,
kind of fill me in on how the actual race went and
mm.
what was it like doing that in Paris as opposed to like Chicago or somewhere that you're more familiar with?
Yeah. So, like, the race day, like, I had done, like, some little easy runs, and, like, we did a shakeout run that was, like, you went from the Louvre and, like, crossed some bridges and went down by the Seine, so, like, you're seeing the city.
Yeah,
But then, like, the day of the marathon, like, you're in the corral, the energy is there,
yeah,
and, like, I think literally for the first at least mile, I was, like, smiling like a maniac.
yeah,
Like, and I don't really, like, do that often, like, as
yeah,
far as, like, when I'm running around Chicago, I'm not just like, "Oh my god, this is so cool," but,
yeah,
like, literally the first mile of Paris, I was just like, "This is so cool."
yeah.
Like, this
That's
is
the shit that I was talking about a
yeah,
second ago is like busting your ass to be able to have those luxuries. And
yeah,
luxury in that sense is like being in that city,
yeah,
running a race, smiling like an idiot.
yeah, yeah,
But like
yep,
that's the whole reason that we're
yeah,
doing all this shit like
yeah,
in life, you know?
yeah,
But yeah, so once the smiling
yeah.
wore off, like with additional mileage, I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah, yeah. Like, the first mile, it's like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." Like, I'm smiling, I can't even help it. And then, yeah, I think, like, the route, like, the first, like, 5 miles, like, you're in kinda, like, the, like, scenic parts of Paris, like, you pass by the opera, you go by the Bastille, and then you're heading out to the, Bois de Vincennes, which is, like, a park.
You speak French a little bit, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, man, that was really smooth.
So,
All right, I got you.
so you head out there, which is a giant park, and it gets a little bit hilly, and that's, like, when it starts to get, like, more challenging,
Is that
and
when the
that's
real shit said?
a little well, the real shit happened around mile
Oh,
18.
okay, okay. I'll let you
Yeah,
get
yeah.
there.
So, like, 6, 8 was out in the park, and, it's, like it's nice, it's a park, it's pretty.
Yeah,
It's very wooded, there's, like, not as much, like, crowd support, you could say, like, there is some, but
yeah,
not as much as, like,
yeah.
the city
Yeah,
bit.
it's not as in your face.
Yeah, and so, that was still fine, like, it's rolling hills, which we don't have in Chicago,
Yeah.
so I was, like, a little nervous about
Sure,
that
yeah.
because it's, like, I've done hills on the treadmill, and I've done, like, sledding hill by Soldier Field,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's, like, that's really all we got.
Mhm.
Otherwise, you have to go out to
Pretty limited
Barrington.
here.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So the rolling hills were totally fine, like, it was actually kinda nice to have that variation.
Yeah, kinda ebb and flow.
Mhm. And then, like, you're in Bois de Vincennes for a while, like, 6 miles,
Mm.
so from, like, maybe 6 to, like, 12 or 13,
Yeah,
and then that, I think, is when typically, like, you start to feel the effects of running for, like, 2 hours,
yeah,
like, an hour and a half, 2 hours, for me, 2 hours,
yeah,
and, yeah, that's when people started kinda, like, dropping off around you. You start to see a little bit more of, like, the medical
yeah.
attention and stuff.
Okay.
Um, and, like, the Paris Marathon started pretty late,
Yeah,
so, like, I think I didn't go till, like, 11.
yeah.
My crawl didn't go till 11, so it was, like, getting warm at that point, like,
So yeah, that
relatively.
weather factor.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, like, hot, hot, but it was a
Enough to
little bit,
notice.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then, I think you're in Paris, so it's, like,
yeah,
beautiful. You go down by the Seine, and then, like, that's when there's, like, tunnels,
yeah,
which are, like, not super pleasant because they're dark, musty, kind of like
yeah,
people have been inhabiting them,
yeah.
and the smells of that are there,
Yeah, yeah.
and
It's
it's li
not something that you just don't notice or
yeah, it's kinda like,
you're
"Alright."
just gasping for air and you're just taking in urine or God,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So it's like, "This is great."
So
So anyway, you're just getting through the tunnel, and then, like, at 18, there's, like, a pretty significant uphill.
yeah,
Like, if you're driving out of a tunnel and it's, like,
okay.
to go up the ramp.
That's a rough combo.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, "Alright." So we made it through that, and that was, like, when it kinda got real around 18, 19.
Yeah, yeah,
And then, yeah, I mean, I felt like I hope this is answering your question, like, to talk to your point earlier,
yeah,
like, I felt super focused the whole time.
yeah,
Like, up until that point, I was really, like, totally fine.
yeah,
And then, you go out to Bois de Boulogne, which is, like, another park,
yeah,
and, there's a I felt really good still.
yeah.
Sam said he saw me at, like, 40K, and
Yeah.
no, I have no idea. Like, you're just kinda, like,
You were
locked
just like,
in.
yeah, checked out. You didn't
You're just
see anything.
yeah, exactly. And then there's, like, a huge hill at, like, I guess it was mile, like, 24, 25
Mm,
out of 26. And so that was like significant feeling. It's
yeah,
like, all right,
yeah,
so you're
yeah.
gonna really break me off like this right now. And then, but yeah, like even then I like felt fine through it. Like I continued
That's
running.
awesome.
Um, so yeah, overall, like there were definitely challenges, particularly past 18,
Yeah,
as like is common in the marathon. And I felt really focused. I didn't listen to music like at all. So
that's
I,
great.
yeah, so I just felt like super locked in.
Yeah, you just wanna take in Paris entirely and just kind
Yeah,
of check out from other sort of motivations, I guess, and just kinda deal with it on
yeah,
your own. That's
yeah,
pretty awesome. So and Sam's been pretty supportive
yeah,
throughout this entire thing, right? I feel like
super.
he's always, like, by your side, like,
Yeah.
I mean, he obviously works out for himself too, but
Mhm.
I feel like he's, like, always showing up in the gym to
Yeah,
try to lift with you or, like,
yeah,
one the biggest thing I noticed about him is, especially, like, on Sundays, is he'll show up in the morning here, meet up with you, and you get off your shift, you guys will go run errands, get coffee,
mhm,
come back,
mhm,
work out, and he just seems never in a rush to, like, get out
yeah,
of here. He's always just here to be with you and help you get through whatever you need to or vice versa, and
mhm,
that's a good person to have in your corner,
yeah,
and I'm sure
yeah,
he was excellent to go over to Paris with, and he's
yeah,
such a excuse me, such a relaxed, easygoing, so I feel like he's a good travel partner
yeah.
to have, especially with a situation like that where you're going overseas to try to, like, make something happen.
Yeah, yeah. He is definitely like a very good travel person and
Yeah.
he's like very good at logistics and stuff.
Yeah,
So
I can see that.
if anything were to go sideways, which it didn't, he would be like really good at handling it, I feel.
Yeah.
And he's like the most supportive person in my life.
Yeah.
So it's not even like a question.
Yeah. That's kinda what I figured. You can kinda read that off of him,
Hmm.
when he's around you, and,
Hmm.
yeah, very grateful to have people like that,
Hmm.
by our sides. I don't know how I would be able to do half the shit that I do
Yeah,
without Katie, and I'm sure that you feel the same way about Sam,
absolutely.
Um, so what was the rest of Paris like
Hmm.
once the race was done? Did you feel like obviously you're probably tired, but just did you feel like very celebratory and you just wanted to like hang out, eat good food, have a good
Yeah.
time? Like what was the rest of that trip like?
So yeah, the day of like basically like went back, had McDonald's, like took a nap.
Is that your post run meal?
I think yeah, for that kinda thing, yeah.
The other day you were talking about a soda, your
Yeah,
drink. What was that after a run or something? What was the deal with that? We were talking about you drinking like a
Diet Coke.
yeah, that's what it was.
Oh, yesterday I stopped at McDonald's and got a large Diet Coke.
Oh,
That's
what was the reasoning? I can't remember
I was just so thirsty and I
oh,
really
yeah, we were
like
talking about,
yeah.
I know why, 'cause I came up to you when we were working, I was like, "Man, it's spring and summer when you need to have, like, a million different drinks
Yes,
all day for no reason."
yes.
And you're like, "Yeah, I got the Diet Coke."
Yeah, that's my, like, fun little drink I go get.
Oh, yeah. Alright, so you got McDonald's
Yeah,
afterwards.
McDonald's was delivered to the Airbnb.
Alright, got it.
I passed out for a couple hours, and then, like, I took, obviously, like, you get yourself ready. The shower situation at the Airbnb was, like, for Americans, a bit bizarre, so I
Alright.
took my weird bath shower situation with, like, no
What's
shower
what's
curtain.
oh, so it's just, like, open.
It's just open,
Okay.
and you kind of are just, like, in this tiny little bathtub.
Kinda sounds like Vietnam a little bit to a
Yeah.
degree, like,
So,
the toilet and the shower are sort of in the same little room or whatever.
yeah, yeah, similar. Similar odd vibes, but, whatever, so got ready and then, like, passed out, and then we went out to dinner that night and, like, that was great, just, like, had dinner, couple drinks.
Yeah.
I think that, like, you know, speaking to, like, the people that support us, like, I think he was more nervous that day than I was, and, like, he was so worried sort of about, like, getting photos and, like, seeing me at certain points that by the end of the night, he was, like, really tired, like, more tired than me.
Yeah, yeah. I guess
And so, like, we went to dinner and then we, like, had dessert and stuff somewhere else, like,
yeah,
we did stuff, but we didn't, like,
yeah,
go out,
yeah,
and then, like, the following days, like, we had more reservations at places and,
yeah,
like, just kind of enjoyed Paris
yeah,
and, we went to some museums, like, still walked around a ton, went
yeah,
to, like, Giverny one day, which was the Monet's garden, like, an hour away from
yeah.
Paris. So, like, we still
It's pretty unbelievable.
yeah, I saw some people actually on the train, like, we were on the train the next day, and I'm walking like I just, like, rode a horse for hours. Like
Like, awkwardly?
yeah, I'm
Okay.
walking, like, I not quickly, like, we're
Gotcha.
walking like something
G
happened, and, like,
gotcha.
it's sort of yeah, like, you can tell, like, something she did something yesterday, and
Yeah, yeah.
I saw these other people with Paris Marathon
Mhm.
medals on,
Yeah.
and they're, like, walking around totally fine,
Huh.
and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
Let's hope their time wasn't as good.
Let's hope. I was like, "You guys are, like, way older than me, and, like, you're German, and what is happening?"
Maybe it's just because 'cause they're German.
They're German.
German people are tough as nails.
They know, they're like, "We hiked, like, Matterhorn the day before," and
Yeah, yeah, no shit. Yeah, when me and Katie were there, I mean, we ate a lot of good food, but the one of my favorite places that we went to, uh, find, Emily in Paris, like the
Yes.
apartment or whatever. I think we talked
Yes.
about this before.
Yes.
But, when we left there, we just, like, started wandering down the street, and I think
Mhm.
it was, like, kinda rainy a little bit or something like that,
Mhm.
so we were just trying to find something quick, and we didn't wanna Uber another time, we already Ubered, like, 500 times in that
Yeah.
trip.
Mhm.
So we just wandered down the street, and we found this weird bar, like, restaurant thing that, it was I don't really know how to describe it, but it was, babe, was it, like, Italian, French? It was, like,
Breaking the
French.
fourth wall.
I don't care. That's
Oh.
fine.
Yeah, it was like Italian. It was like a
It was, like,
quick
Italian.
bar Italian place.
Yeah, but it was like Italian, and,
It was good?
yeah, it had this, like, amazing pizza just with, like,
Mm.
red sauce on it, like, it wasn't American, it was just, like,
Yeah, yeah.
the crust and then just, like, the sauce,
Mhm.
and then I can't remember, maybe it was, like, pepperoni or something, but it had basil leaves just laying on it,
Mhm.
and it was, like, one of the best pizzas I've ever had in my life.
That's always how things like that go. Like,
Yeah,
yeah. It's
and
always just where you stop.
it was, like, really oddly fancy in there, but then, like, they were
Mhm.
playing, like, shitty hip hop, and it was just,
Sounds
like
right.
it was very Paris,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so and that to me, that's, like, my memory of Paris is, like, that kinda stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a really amazing place. I feel really thankful to be able to go there, and I
Yeah.
I really plan on going back at some
Yeah.
point.
You guys have been there a couple times? You went Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an amazing birthday present.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it was
doesn't get much better than that, in my
nah.
opinion.
No, she surprised me with, like, I thought we were doing, like, a New York trip or whatever, and then we were
Which would be great,
connecting in New
but
York,
yeah.
and then it was, like, this whole thing,
Yeah.
over there, and it was a blast, and, yeah, I thought it was awesome, so, talk to me a little bit about your coaches
Mhm.
because, I knew that you had some coaching,
Mhm.
oversight with, preparing for all this, and then ongoing, obviously, but
Mhm.
I didn't know that you had a lifting coach and
Mhm.
also a running coach,
Mhm.
which is really interesting,
Mhm.
and I feel like, over the last 5 years or so,
Mhm.
the coaching has gotten a lot more serious for even amateurs,
Yes.
much alike like people that are professionals too.
Yeah.
Obviously, we partake in it with our own clients,
Yeah. Yeah.
and from someone who's been in the training industry for a long time,
Mhm.
the sort of like programming, online coaching slash programming for people that you actually train in person
Mhm.
wasn't as prominent as it is now.
Mhm.
Now it's hand in hand.
Mhm.
It's very odd. There's some exceptions, of course, but it's very odd for people to have a lot of clients and none of them run programs.
Yeah.
Back in
Mhm.
the day, it was very common to have a lot of clients and there was no programs. You just figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
So in that, I think that, having two coaches it sounds a little extra, but I think
Yeah.
for what you're doing, it's very necessary
Yeah.
because they're two very different things, even though they,
Yeah.
can be related. So
Sure.
talk to me a little bit about you have a coach named Ruby,
Mhm.
and then you have a coach named Lizzie. So
Mhm.
talk to me about Ruby a little bit.
Mhm.
She's your lifting coach,
Mhm.
and just want to get a little bit of background on how you got connected with her and what her training style is like, and some of her programming, and how it's related to your running.
Mhm. So, I actually started training with Lizzie and lifting, like, years ago, like, maybe it was when I did the the super sprint try,
Mhm.
so, like, a year or 2 ago, and I started following that, like, collective of trainers,
Okay.
specifically Lizzie,
Yep.
at that point in time because I saw she was doing, like, endurance events and
Yep.
lifting. I was like and she's just generally, like, on social media, it's like, she's just kind of, like, so inspirational, such a badass, like,
What's her last name?
Picardi.
Okay.
So I'm like, she's very cool to me. I would like love to train like her. So I started working with her like a couple years ago. Then she left that coaching collective and started her own gym in LA.
Hmm.
And so I wasn't training with her, that's when I started working with Ruby. So Ruby is a part of the training collective, and
Like the original one that Lizzie was.
yeah, yeah. And so they really focus on like lifting and then like physique transformation, which, you know, wasn't per se like what I was going for.
Yeah.
But then like through working with the program, like, I would say like I kind of had that happen.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, Ruby, she has done powerlifting. She now does like more running. She also works with Lizzie in running actually.
So they're somewhat connected
Yeah.
to a degree, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And Ruby is the lifting coach primarily, or the
yeah.
other way around?
Ruby's the lifting
Okay.
coach.
All right. Ruby Golden, right?
Yeah. So currently she is.
Okay, gotcha.
Before I worked with Lizzie, but now Ruby. Um, so yeah, she has done powerlifting. That's kind of where her background is mainly
Yeah.
versus like bodybuilding or endurance.
Yeah.
Um, and I think I started working with Lizzie in the running. Um, I would say it was after Chicago, so like November-ish.
Okay.
Yeah, of 2024.
Okay, got it. So it's
Yeah,
semi recent.
yeah,
Basically, a little bit before you started preparing for the Paris thing, right?
yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And so, what was the switch? What was the biggest switch like? Because
Mhm.
you were already running pre that
Yeah,
for the Tri and the
yeah.
Chicago Marathon, but what was the biggest switch that you noticed from your day to day training for running,
Mhm,
and then also just like the output that you're able to
mhm.
uh, to put out for your running and sort of structure and all that. I'm sure there was a pretty drastic change between what you were doing before,
Yeah.
or was it similar since she was a part of that collective?
Well, it was different. So, like I noticed a difference. Like I guess before I started training for the marathon, the Chicago Marathon or the Tri,
Yeah,
I had done the super sprint Tri in August of like I'm not even sure 2022 maybe,
yeah,
and after that I did a half.
okay,
So I was working with that collective on the endurance
yeah,
pieces.
okay,
And it was like, it was a half marathon, my first one, and it was a super sprint try, which was like the first endurance event I had ever
gotcha,
done. So it was much like less like specific, I would say.
okay,
Like now the training, it's like delivered on Training Peaks versus True Coach.
yeah,
Training Peaks, it's like you're gonna do these paces, or these are the recommended
I
paces for
see.
this duration of time.
Uh,
And it's a little bit more like specific on
Sounds
paces.
like more detailed for sure.
Yeah, versus like run easy 30 minutes
Yeah,
based on RPE. So it's
gotcha.
like just kind of more pace versus RPE.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, like, now with Lizzie, it's all pace. And, of course we do
yeah,
RPE too, but it's just more specific if you have a specific goal.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I would say like volume obviously increases when you're doing a marathon versus like a half marathon
Makes sense.
or a 5K. The volume is like more.
Yeah,
So I'd say those are like the biggest changes, the specificity and the volume.
yeah. And then your output, I think, has improved, right? Since you've been working with them, it seems like it has, and it seems like you've also been just training way more than before.
Oh yeah,
But it
probably.
seems sustainable, at least from my
Ah,
perspective. So it
yeah.
seems like you've been able to just constantly train harder, and
Yeah.
seem happy, healthy,
Mhm.
to me, which is a hard combination to find with that
Yeah.
much training.
Yeah, so right, I guess, like, where the lifting and the running kinda, like, go together, I've
Yeah,
done a lot of volume on the main lifts and,
yeah,
like, with my accessories,
hmm,
which, like, whenever I'm more in, like, a marathon prep or something, like, I think we're gonna go lower volume in the future.
hmm,
I think that's way easier to recover from, but I think having done, like, higher volume
yeah,
other things has, like, lended to more endurance.
yeah. There's like that trade off where
Yeah,
your endurance goes way up, your recovery could be there, could not be there, depending.
yeah,
It's
that's
also
the hard
depending on the
part.
day too.
Yeah,
Like you feel like absolute shit one day, and then do the same workout that next week and feel fantastic for no reason.
yeah, like yeah, so right now I'm lifting 4 days, running 4 days,
Yeah,
but, like, during a marathon prep, like, that might be it for, like, the first, 4 to 8 weeks,
yeah,
but then it's, like, just due to time as well,
yeah,
like, we're going down to, like, 2 or 3 days lifting,
yeah.
and at one point 6 days running.
Yeah.
So it's just like the
It's
time
gonna fluctuate a little
is
bit.
also a factor. Yeah.
So, good question for you, but at this point, do you run for lifting or
Mm,
like do you lift for running or is it as a like sort of a 50-50
mm,
kind of thing because
hmm.
you lifted primarily before
Yeah.
running.
Yeah.
But I really don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
And I talk to you every day for
Yeah.
depending on the
Yeah.
day, hours possibly.
Yeah.
So how do you see that?
Um, that's a really good question. I don't know actually.
Threw a
Um,
hard hitter at you right in the middle of the
I
podcast.
know. That's a good question. I don't know.
There's no real answer, I guess, but just kind of like, I don't know, I guess at the moment,
Yeah.
what do you feel like your primary is like, today?
Today, right now. Um, I would say, I would say it also fluctuates. Like if that's
It's like
it,
split personality kind of
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
it is because they're like I lifted. I still lift,
Yeah.
but I started lifting.
Yeah.
So like it's like your first child. It's like your baby
Yeah.
in a sense,
Yeah.
or it's your first child, and then running's kind of like the newer
Yeah. Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, like this one,
Oh,
he can take care of himself.
yeah. Yeah. I know what you
I
mean.
have to put my attention towards this one.
Yeah.
But like, but then like, you know, I don't know, like I still love lifting so much and I lift obviously a lot. So
Yeah.
I'd say it's more like split personalities. If
Yeah.
it's like I'm getting ready for a race or
Yeah.
whatever, then it's like running. If I want to do a photo shoot, then it's
Yeah.
lifting. If I want to do a powerlifting meet, it's obviously lifting.
That's true.
So it just depends on like which one are we like
Yeah.
pushing down the gas on.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And it kind of reflects your answer reflects sort of like, what you do like week to week or day to day
Hmm.
because so you just had the Paris thing.
Hmm.
Um you were lifting through that entire thing.
Hmm.
You came back, you were already lifting pretty soon after that,
Hmm.
and then you already started running again.
Hmm.
You did Becca's charity deadlift meet
Yeah. Yeah.
with all of your clients last weekend.
Yeah.
And all those things are pretty close together. But the
Yes.
beauty of it is that because you're training like that,
Yeah.
it's not that out of the norm for you to
Yeah.
be able to do those things in a
Hmm.
short period of time.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like I get a lot of people that ask me, like, uh, powerlifting and jujitsu, and it's like,
Yeah. Right.
which one is gonna stick or whatever, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they're both gonna stick because I like
Yeah.
both of them, and
Yeah.
they're really fun and it's challenging to do both of them at the same time. And I
Mm.
understand that most people choose not to do them at the same time because
Yeah.
there's logistical reasons that people do one or the other.
Yeah.
I just don't really care about that.
Yeah.
And we'll take whatever good or bad comes with that.
Yeah. What do you think that is? Like, why do you think some people like one thing versus more than one thing?
What do you mean exactly? Like that they
Yeah.
just choose
Like the
one.
people that are like, I gotta do one thing. And that's
Uh
like, you know what I mean? When
yeah, I
people
know
are
what you're
like, what's
saying.
gonna
Yeah.
stick?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I think for certain people they're so skilled
Yes.
that like it wouldn't be worth it for them
Sure.
and I'm not saying that you and I aren't, like good at
But
things because we are, but like
I
certain
know what you
people are
mean.
so skilled
Mhm.
that it wouldn't be worth it for them to dabble in other things because they're not willing to trade off
Yes.
performance, even if it's like 2%,
Yes.
um, to do something else, even if it was worthwhile.
Yes, that makes sense.
But, you know,
Specific.
and then I think there's other people that maybe they're not the best of the best
Hmm.
and they're just so OCD
Hmm.
or they're so like one track minded, which I don't mean that
Hmm.
in a negative way.
Right.
But I don't think they allow for any space to be like, "What's going
Hmm.
on with that thing?"
Yeah.
Which if it works for them, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And me particularly, it's not like I needed more. So like I've always been really happy with lifting, bodybuilding, powerlifting.
Hmm.
I've never like been like, man, I'm kind of bored with this. I
Right.
want to see what else is out there. It's
Yeah.
not really that.
Yeah.
How I got into martial arts, I sort of stumbled into it
Mm.
because of Ed. I
Oh.
saw Ed at a hardcore show one time.
Mm.
He invited me and a buddy in because he's like, "Oh, you guys work out. You guys will probably, do really good on the mat because you're already in fairly good shape."
Mm.
Which is another story. That was kind of ironic because that was not the case.
You guys are in good
But
shape.
yeah, yeah, we just got our shit handed to us. But anyways,
But I think do you think that's kinda why you really liked it? Because you really got humbled by it and you're like, "This is
yeah,
really hard, I wanna get better at it."
yeah,
Because I know
yeah,
that was it with me in running.
yeah, yeah. I think it just like got my attention really
Mhm.
fast
Mhm.
because, when you lift, you're like, you feel capable and you feel like you can
Mhm.
defend yourself. And most people choose not to like tangle with you because you're just not the best option out there generally,
Mhm. Sure.
But being in that environment made me realize like how susceptible you are to anything depending on who it is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I had small people, women, older men, like
Just
people that like you would see on the street and be like, man, that person's like kind of obese,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
just wreck you. Right. So like
Right.
all of your preconceived notions of
Yeah.
like, how you can handle yourselves with certain people out there kind of goes out the window when
Yes.
it comes to martial arts.
Yes.
So I think that for me was probably the biggest like attention grabber.
Mhm.
And I don't know, I guess I also have this weird thing where like if people seem like they're good people and the hobby or the activity seems legitimate
Mhm.
and there's something to it, it's not just like, oh, we'll just do this temporarily for fun.
Yeah.
Like kickboxing and jiu-jitsu goes so far back in history
Mhm.
that like to me, I was like, I couldn't see me investing all my time into this and not working out. Like people
Yeah.
have been doing this for so long. I
Yeah.
just couldn't see it not being all positive.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and then eventually I was like, "Oh shit, now I have to lift, and I also have to do this fairly seriously."
Yeah.
Like,
Yes, yes.
and so it kind of just happened. I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but it was just like a slow build up. And then once I realized I was doing both of them, I was like, "Damn, this is kind of rough." And I was like, "Oh well." So,
You're like, "Oh, wow, I kinda got myself in here."
yeah, I'm sure that's kind of what it was like with the running and lifting to a degree. Like you
To a
didn't really
degree.
plan on being like, you know what, I'm gonna try to run as hard as I can.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to lift as hard as I can.
Yeah.
And
Let's run as far as we can and then just or whatever,
yeah,
and then lift a bunch of weight. Yeah, it's a challenge at times.
yeah.
We
How do you
modify.
Oh, sorry. How do you, feel like, you, sort of, like, move your mindset, from running? Like, do you
Mhm.
feel like you incorporate that into training your clients at all? Or, like, your
Yeah.
clients' programming or, like, just their training day to day?
Yeah, I think so, like, as far as running programming goes, like, I do have a couple clients who are interested in running, and, I've learned, a lot working with my running coach,
Yeah.
so I definitely plan to, like, incorporate that.
Yeah.
Um, I do think it is, like, mostly like, of course, there's the physical element to it, but it's, like, very much mindset as well,
Yeah.
and, like, I think with running, you have to be, like, relentlessly optimistic
Uh-huh.
because otherwise it's, like, you'll just stop,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you
Yeah.
have to stay in the mile you're in, and you have to, like,
Yeah.
just keep going, keep believing you can keep going even if it just fucking sucks right now.
Yeah.
So it's,
Sure.
like, kinda the same, like, you know, you have to be positive with your clients, I hope to, like, pass that along,
Yeah.
and, like, I think that's a hard skill to have,
Mhm.
but, um, pass that along in, like, lifting and running, like, we just have to keep going.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been really noticeable, not only with you, but
Mm.
also your clients too.
Mm. Yeah.
And, ever since you've, been training clients here, like I've always thought that the vibe's been good,
Mhm.
like the people you're training with, like
Mhm.
everyone seems they like to be here and like to
Mhm.
have a good time and all that. But
Mhm.
what I've noticed is that ever since your own running has really scaled up to be what it is now,
Uh-huh.
it also seems like some of your clients, you've kind of taken them under your wing in that sense as well. So it's
Mm.
not just the lifting, they're
Uh-huh.
also doing running. You've done like the group runs and things like that.
Yeah.
And it seems like a lot of the positivity that you were already a very positive person, anyways, but
Mm.
when your running is increased to the point it is now over the
Mm.
last like year and a half,
Yeah.
like that to me, it seems like has really skyrocketed with you as a person.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, and also a lot of your clients,
Yeah.
it seems like is kind of rubbing off on them too.
Yeah.
Just even to the way like I'll see them walk in the gym, how they carry themselves, their
Mm.
demeanor, that they just seem so much more upbeat, things like
Interesting.
that.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of that is just time being in a place longer, you get more comfortable in a
Yeah.
gym like this, but
Yeah.
I don't think that's the only reason. I think it's a lot of like their training protocols and like running and just like,
Yeah.
your personality rubbing off on them. And so I feel
Mhm.
like to me, it's been exponentially different.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I haven't really well, the thing I've noticed is, like so I've set, like, goals and, like, I really like having a goal to work towards,
Yeah.
so setting the goals and, like, having something to work towards, I think is fun, I like it,
Yeah.
And then I kind of wonder, like, if my clients have noticed that, and then I wonder if they've kind of incorporated that because I always, like, try and encourage my clients to have a goal.
Yeah.
Like, what are we working towards? Are we working towards, like, a body weight pull-up or a
Yeah.
push-up or, like, weight on the bar? Like,
Yeah.
we need to have some kind of direction because
Yeah.
I don't love just, like, floating aimlessly.
Yeah. Just be
Not
like, you have to be in shape or just healthy.
Yeah,
Those are all great things, but yeah, something that's a little bit more specific to the person and makes them hungry and
yeah,
something in their gut that's like making them want to do this every day.
yeah, and not to say, like, coming to the gym could be the
Yeah.
goal,
Totally.
and that could be it, and that's great.
Yeah.
Like, we can do that too.
For sure.
It's
Better
just
than the other option, but
Yeah, right,
no, I
like,
feel you.
but, like, some people I've worked with, like, for years, it's like, what are we getting after now?" Like, it's not just coming to the gym, like, you
Oh
come to
yeah.
the gym 4 days.
Yeah.
So, wonder if maybe they've noticed that, like, a lot of people were gung ho about Becca's meat, not only
Yeah.
because it's a good cause,
Yeah.
but I wonder if, like, they're like, "Oh, I can go up on stage and lift weight," like,
Yeah.
maybe they think like, "Well, someone else did it, so I should do it too now,"
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool how many people got involved in that,
Mhm,
you know, and it's nice because when it comes to a deadlift meet,
mhm,
it's fairly accessible to everyone
mhm.
because it's just deadlift, like you don't have to show up and do all three lifts and be there for 6 to 8 hours, and during that, it's kind of like a lifting marathon for full power meets.
It is,
From a
yeah,
coaching perspective, I'm also a lifter too.
yeah,
So, and then also just the cause itself is pretty rad, and the vibe of that meet was really good.
mhm,
And it was just, like,
was,
really laid back and fun, but also
yeah,
intense.
yeah,
So, that
it
was
was
a weird
good,
mixture that I've generally not experienced, even at other charities, which I thought was kinda cool
yeah.
to see.
The vibe was very good. I walked out on stage, I was like, "Alright, it's, like, all my friends here, so I'm just gonna go
Yeah.
lift right now." Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
not there's no, like, weirdness.
Yeah, and it kinda reminded me of, sort of how things, were in powerlifting, maybe, like, pre-2000, like, 18,
Mm,
before powerlifting got big, like, on the internet.
mhm,
And, there's obviously a lot of positives there, but some negatives come along with that too.
mhm,
And I just looked around the room and there was like so many different businesses there supporting the meet for
yep,
like non-financial reasons. Just like, hey, we're gonna show up, we're gonna be there for Rebecca and all these people doing this meet and donate money.
mhm,
And it was just nice to be there in a non-business manner that day. You
yeah,
know, um,
yeah,
and then also just seeing like all the different gyms that were there.
yeah,
And it was nice just because everyone there was just lifting and having fun.
mhm,
And there wasn't like, oh, you're from this gym and I'm from that gym, and
yeah,
whatever. It was just
yeah,
like we're all there lifting.
yeah,
And it was like really family oriented too. There's a lot of families, just kids around, and like
yeah,
it was just super laid back and it was easy.
yeah,
And like I think everyone left feeling refreshed and not, usually you leave a meet and you're like destroyed.
yes.
Uh,
It's like, that was a long day.
so yeah, so shout out to Becca for that and everyone that helped her with that. I just can't believe that much money got raised. And I know everyone
Yeah,
busted their ass for it, but it
yes,
also seemed like it wasn't forced. And that's the thing
yeah,
that surprised me for how much money got raised.
yeah,
It wasn't shoved down people's throats. It was just like, hey, let's all sign up. If people can throw in some money, cool.
yeah,
I just feel like that's a really beautiful, beautiful thing.
yeah, it
Um,
was good. Excellent.
yeah. And when we were talking about your clients and all that,
Mhm,
um, I was sort of thinking about, you coming to train at Rockwell,
mhm,
and you were training at another place
mhm,
before here,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And I feel like from when you originally got here to now, whether you realize it or not,
mhm,
you've really like carved your own niche
mhm,
into the gym, or kind of carved your own place into
mhm,
the gym.
mhm,
Um, what was it like for you? Because you originally
mhm.
trained here
Yeah,
and lifted here
yeah,
before you worked here.
yeah,
So what has it been like, from the day that you first started lifting here to like the day that you first started training here all the way up to now?
yeah,
What was that sort of like timeline like for you?
mhm,
Because I know that obviously we know our gym as like a very friendly, fun, silly,
mhm.
serious place.
Yes,
But what was it like for you originally walking in the doors here all the way up to now? Like, and
yeah,
how has your viewpoint for like how you see the gym changed
mm,
over the years? Because
mhm,
I'm sure that there's probably been a few times where you're like, oh, I kind of like have this place figured out, and then
yeah,
down the road you're like, well, maybe it's like this.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just kind of curious about that.
Yeah, so, like, when I first started lifting here, with a trainer, I like was just like, this is different. Like it kind of felt like an adventure. Like first of all, at that period of time, like I did not lift weight at all in 2018 or 19. So like it was sort of like an adventure on all fronts.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what I'm doing.
So your lifting started here
Yes.
technically? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not I thought you were already lifting a little bit before you got here.
No.
Well,
So like
that's even cooler.
yeah. So like it just felt like an adventure. Like so I didn't have like a commercial gym per se. Like
Yeah.
I'd been in commercial gyms,
Yeah,
but I
yeah, yeah.
wasn't like there all the time to be like, this is a stark
I
difference. You
see
know
what
what
you're
I
saying.
mean?
Yeah, totally.
So it's kind of like
Maybe that helped a little bit.
they just, I just threw myself right in that deep end and we're like, all right, here
You're
we
like,
are.
"This is lifting."
Yeah. I'm like, this makes sense. So it just felt like an adventure coming
Yeah,
in here. Like
yeah,
this is different. But that's all right.
yeah,
And then like, I think whenever I was learning how to like lift, I didn't really um notice a lot of so the music. I didn't notice the music
yeah,
whenever
yeah,
like I
yeah.
was lifting because I was like, you notice it when you walk in
Yeah.
and then you're like, okay. And then and then like
So
y-
the gym didn't throw you off, but the music did a little bit.
a little bit.
That's to be expected, I feel like.
Yeah.
That's
But
understandable.
then like you're learning how to do something, you're like locked into what you're doing, so
Yeah,
like it kind of fades away. You're
yeah,
not paying attention to it.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and then the pandemic happened and all that stuff. So we were all like working out at home. And then I started working at a commercial gym
yeah,
to learn how to be a trainer.
yeah,
And then I started working here, I think like or starting to intern or whatever here
yeah,
like 6 months later. And yeah, I think my impression was always like, I'm not going to stay at this commercial gym
yeah,
like at all. And
yeah.
I'm doing this with a means to an end to go train at this other place,
Oh, I see.
because
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure,
I'm not staying at that.
for sure.
And yeah, so I first started training here, like it was where I wanted to train.
Yeah,
So I think just the idea of like being a trainer, having clients was like, you know, so new and exciting and
yeah.
something at one point I never thought I would ever be able to do.
Why is that?
Like, I remember, like, in 2018 being like, "I could never be a trainer."
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Isn't that wild?
I mean, I thought that a little bit too about myself, like
Yeah.
maybe very like lightly, I guess. Maybe
Yeah.
just more of like, I don't know how. Actually, for me, is like, I don't know how. I was like, I don't know how I could do that. Like the idea of getting certified for some reason just seemed like,
Really?
and I already went to college. So for some
Yeah.
reason, like going to college seemed reasonable, but I don't know why. I guess training seemed like, I don't know, like maybe I had to know someone or
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know
It's like,
why.
how do you get into that? Because there's no clear route.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Mhm.
I guess school, someone's just like ushering you, and like
This way
parading you
next.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so why did you not think that you would be a trainer or why or whatever?
Well, like, in 2018 or 2019, I was, like, not physically fit either. So I didn't feel like I had the physical capability at that point. Like, I knew I could do it
Yeah,
eventually,
yeah.
but it's just like, how long is that gonna take? You know what I mean? Like, I can't do a pull-up, like, at that point,
Oh, so
and
you were taught you wanted to get yourself to like a physical level,
yes.
capability wise,
Y
before you felt like you could lead others,
yes.
which I think is important. It's kind of a
Yes.
you know unpopular opinion to a degree because I think
Yeah.
a lot of people can be a good trainer or coach,
Yeah.
sort of aside from your physical
For
capabilities.
sure.
But there's also like an element of if you're not leading from the front, I don't 100% trust you entirely as far
Yes.
as like what you're going to ask me to do or
Yes.
ask others to do. You
Yeah.
got to walk that walk a little bit. So,
Yeah.
so I understand where you're coming from that. So what got you from like thinking like that to like, you're like, okay, I'm going to be a trainer at a commercial gym with this thought of being a trainer at a very like unique
Mhm.
sort of like I don't really consider our gym like elite,
Mhm.
but at the same token, I do think that we take our lifting very seriously and we
Mhm.
take our training
Mhm.
exponentially seriously. I mean,
Mhm.
like the whole internship thing, no one does that shit. And if they
Yeah.
do, it's definitely not that involved. I mean, at this point, I think I make people frustrated and somewhat mad with the process
Yeah.
because it's so um I wouldn't say, I guess it's detailed. It's hefty.
Yeah.
It's not like a little thing you just got to get through to check off the boxes, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
so like, we definitely take it way more serious than most people do.
Mhm.
Even powerlifting gyms, I would say. I think I can confidently say that.
Yeah,
But what made you switch from thinking that to
yeah,
like going to the commercial gym and then wanting to train here and then
yeah.
view yourself as someone that could train here?
Yeah. So I guess it was during the pandemic. Like before the pandemic, I was working at a bar downtown and I
Wait,
just
I
did
forgot that were you bartending or were you serving? I can't remember.
serving.
Okay, got it.
It was kind of a place you kind of did both, but
Uh-huh.
like, I was in hospitality. So I did all that and I just did not want to do that long term.
Yeah,
It was a means to an end. And it's like the pandemic was kind of like
yeah,
my chance out of that.
yeah,
And so, yeah, it was during that point where it was like, I I did not believe in myself before that point, and then through the pandemic, like, a lot of reflection, you could say,
yeah, yeah,
I was like, I can do this. I need to try."
yeah.
So I got, like, certified in yoga, certified in, personal training,
Yeah,
and then went to the commercial gym to get experience in order to come here,
gotcha.
work here, because it is an intense gym, but that's part of, like, why you come here.
Yeah,
It's not because you want like, a half-assed experience, you know?
yeah,
So
yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think the whole hospitality thing
mhm,
um really checks out in a lot of senses. I think you told me that a long time ago and I just forgot for whatever reason,
mhm,
but I worked in hospitality too.
mhm.
In a handful of different ways. It wasn't just one thing, I worked for three or four, maybe five different hospitality situations.
Yeah.
And I'm really thankful that I did that
Mhm,
because um, when I worked for corporate gyms in the past, a
mhm,
lot of the meetings that we had with sort of the higher ups or like regionals or whatever
mhm,
management,
mhm.
the biggest thing that always got brought up to us is that we work in the hospitality industry,
Yeah.
not the gym industry,
Mhm.
you know? And so for us, it's obviously a lot different because our gym is so weird that we just get away with a lot of things that a normal commercial gym wouldn't be able to do in
Yeah.
every sense of the word.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we still have to serve people and like produce results.
Mhm.
But I feel like the hospitality work really allows you to like be humble and communicate with people well and understand what
Yeah.
people need from you and then
Yeah.
actually delivering that thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and I'm really happy that I had to do that so that I can apply it to like everything that I do here, even when it comes time to like, if a newer trainer needs something and it's reasonable, I
Mhm.
can like hear them on that and actually try to provide the
Yeah.
thing that they want rather than be
Yeah.
like, dude, you're new, all right? Just like
Yeah.
settle in.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, so what was it like when you first started training clients here coming from the commercial setting?
Mhm.
Like, was it easy transition or was it a little nerve wracking? Or
Mm.
was it actually just like the perfect switch because it sounds like you set out to do that,
Yeah.
you know?
I was like, "Thank God." I was like, "Get me out of that gym." I'm not a name
You're
tag
like
person.
a name tag person.
Yeah, I
You're
told you
like,
that, how I like
get me in that weird gym listening to awful music and
I'm like,
just like,
"That's fine. It might not be totally my personality, but at least it has personality."
that's funny.
You know?
You're like, a personality is better than known than none.
Yes.
So as far as the music goes, I know we joke around a lot. Remember there's a while where I was like asking for ratings on certain,
Oh my god, yeah.
and
You're like, "What's the rating?"
and it was more me trying to conjure you into liking bad music. It was not really like the rating necessarily. I was just like, hey, what do you think about this? It's probably like at least a 6, right? You're like, that's a
Now you present, like, a graph that shows, like,
three.
"See, if you notice the ratings went up."
Yeah. And you mentioned to me that growing up, like I think you hung out with people that went to shows, or I think you
Yes.
did go to shows. Somehow you got wrapped up in a little bit of that,
I
right? At
mean,
some
like, your
point.
friends did it, so you went, but that doesn't
Yeah,
mean you
yeah.
liked it. You were kinda like, "Why am I here?"
I think that's probably 90% of shows
Yeah.
is people are there because it's something to do and you want to hang out,
Mhm.
and the music's probably bad.
Yeah.
But it's generally in a weird venue, and it's just kind of like, a way to like meet other people and have fun, get out of your parents' house
Yes.
or whatever, and it's,
Yes.
so I feel like, that definitely gave us a little bit of an in
Mhm.
with our poor music tastes
It must have. It's like this
because
was in the foundation.
yeah, at least the icebreaker, was there. So, do you have any races coming up in the future or anything like
Mhm.
lifting related with like you or your clients or anything that you're planning on doing?
Yes. Client wise, I have a few clients who really enjoyed the meet,
Uh-huh.
the Pulse for Hope meet,
Uh-huh.
and so a couple of them want to do a mini meet, a mock meet. A
Hell yeah.
couple of them, like a couple, want more of that. I think one or two want like to do a meet here or
Okay.
around here,
Cool.
so like a full meet.
Yeah.
So a couple like wanting to do that. One of those clients is also wanting to do a 5K in August. Um, so yeah, I got a couple people wanting to do a meet, run, and then for myself, I'm doing CIM in Sacramento in December, which is the California
Sick.
International
Oh, okay. Okay.
Marathon,
All right.
December 7th.
All right.
Um, and I'm doing a photo shoot in Malibu, like for
Damn.
fun. I know it sounds so extra, which
So bougie and
it
fancy.
sounds so extra, which I'm just sort of like, ugh, I don't love it. I don't love sounding so
How did that
extra.
come about?
So Ruby's
Okay.
coaching,
All
like
right.
they all work with this photographer. So
Uh,
he's the same guy that I did a photo shoot with before.
so that's sort of
Yeah.
the physique side of that
Yeah.
collective thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got you.
So that's in July, and then marathon December 7th. And I put my name into the lottery for London, but I don't know if I'll get that, of course. And that would be in April next year.
So last thing, because you kind of mentioned it earlier, and then we didn't really touch on it, but as far as the physique side of
Hmm.
things goes,
Hmm.
um, so that's like in the background of all this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so you have like the running and you have lifting and all of that sort of performance side of things.
Hmm.
But then you have like the benefits of doing all that training,
Hmm.
which, as long as you're like eating halfway decent, there's
Yeah.
going to be some of that, right?
Hmm.
And
For
that's
sure.
that's kind of my thing too. When I'm in the peak of jujitsu and peak of powerlifting, I'm eating decent. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're eating decent, I really like the physique that I have. That's
Hmm.
like a combination of lifting and also martial arts, and it's not
Hmm.
straight up a powerlifter's physique,
Hmm.
and it's also not a jujitsu guy's physique either, because
Hmm.
those are two very different things
Hmm.
usually.
Yeah.
And the same thing with being a runner
Yeah.
or strictly a lifter.
Yeah.
So I find it kind of interesting that you're doing all this training, and then you had the photo shoot was here, the last one you did, right? Or where was that other one at? You
The
did,
one I did with this photographer whose name is Kyle York, that
was that
last
New
one,
York?
that was in New York.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
He only goes to,
Ah,
New York or LA, this
gotcha,
guy. Or
gotcha.
you can fly to Mallorca and shoot with him there.
Where at?
Mallorca in
Where's that?
Spain.
Oh, okay,
Spain.
good, damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it seems like that's in the background too,
Mhm.
and so like you technically have like three things
Things.
going on.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's four, but you have like three things going on, and so um, how much of that is like a motivator for you? Or is it like, you want to get these two main things done, and then if you can do that on the side, like just
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about that. Cause like
Yeah.
everyone wants to see the outcomes of all their hard work. And then
Yes.
also too, like, we're only like 20, 30, 40, 50 once.
Yes.
So the cool thing about these photo shoots is that you're sort of locking in these accomplishments,
Yes.
like with
Yeah.
these photos and stuff. You
Yeah.
can look back and see like, oh
Yeah.
man, I trained so hard for this, and this is
Yes.
like what I looked like then.
Yes.
So, but tell me a little bit about like the motivation of that. I mean, obviously it's kind of a given. Everyone knows like,
Yeah.
you want to see a photo of yourself and think it looks cool,
Yeah, yeah. Right.
but it's sort of like it's like an additional
I know, it's
like
like, maybe this is
activity
too
you have
many
going on,
things.
I don't think it is actually. I
Yeah.
think I kind of feel like we should all just go crazy with that shit and just see how much stuff we can do in a given time period, but
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that. And just like, what's your motivation with it? And like,
Mhm.
do you eat differently before that?
Mhm.
And, yeah, I don't know. I'm just curious about
Yeah. So yeah, I guess like no one like doesn't want to look like jacked or muscular, right? Like
it. You're like,
we're
let me get
not
the superficial shit out of the way here real
no
slow.
one's like, yeah, I don't want that.
Yeah.
Like, everyone kind of like wants that. Um and so like yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not like I can't say I don't care about the physique element to it
Yeah.
because that would be false. I do.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm training for like a marathon though,
Yeah.
like that is not the main priority.
Yeah.
Because of a lot of reasons, like you're running so much, you have to eat
Yeah.
a lot, and
Yeah.
like that is a little bit of a balance, like
Kind of goes against the grain a little bit of the physique side to a degree, I would assume.
because if you're running a lot, it's like you can try and maintain your muscle,
Yeah.
and you need to eat to maintain the muscle,
Yeah.
and you need to eat to fuel the runs. It just gets so diet
Yeah.
specific, all this like physique stuff. So I feel like around the marathon, that's hard.
Yeah.
Um, it's possible, it's just a challenge.
Yeah.
And then lifting and doing, like, more moderate cardio, I feel
Mhm.
like it's totally doable.
Yeah. Seems more fitting.
Yeah, and I guess the why behind it, I don't know, I guess it's just to kinda, like for the photo shoot, the why is to kinda, like what you say, like,
Yeah.
kinda, like, mark that time period.
Yeah.
Like, you've done all this stuff and, like, you're proud of it and, like, not this is what you have to show for it because that's not true,
Yeah.
but, like, trying to kind of encapsulate it in a way.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well, I think that's why we put stuff online too.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you want your friends and family or clients or whoever
Yes.
to see what you're doing, and then it's nice for you to look back and say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I did this in like 2021 or whatever."
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's kind of cool to like stamp it,
Mhm.
in time and be like, "I
Mhm.
did this shit," and I also like adjusted some of my lifestyle for this photo shoot, and it
Yes.
turned out a certain way, and I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Um,
So the lead up to the photo shoot, like, right now, I'm just doing, like I count macros, and then leading up to the photo shoot for, like, 6 weeks, I'm doing, like, a mini cut.
yeah,
So I'll be trying to be more specific, hitting the macros,
yeah, yeah,
vegetables and stuff, actually trying to do that. And I do that, like, all year, but, like I said,
yeah.
if you're really running a lot, it's kinda like,
Yeah,
whatever,
much
like
more dialed in and
yeah.
much more kind of like OCD and trying to make everything as perfect as possible.
Yeah, and then there's the option to do, like I didn't do this before my last photo shoot, and I don't know if I'll do it now because 'cause I'll be in LA for, like, a day or 2 beforehand, but you
Uh-huh.
can do this, like, water cut,
Mm,
and it's just where you don't eat I need to look at the form again, but it's basically where you, like, don't have water for a certain period of time. I've never done one, and then
yeah.
you have more carbs, like, the day
To like fill
before.
out and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Kind of
and
sounds like the old school bodybuilding comp.
yeah.
I'm sure they still do it. I just haven't followed it as closely as I used to. But I remember there was like this insane water cut where you start with like a bottle of water and you go
Mhm.
down to like, a quarter of it and half of it and a quarter of that. And then like
Yeah.
the last day you get down to like you have like a cap, like the
Oh
cap
my
of
god.
the water bottle.
Yeah.
That's the water for that previous day. Uh,
Yeah. So, I don't think it'll be that intense,
yeah.
but
Something.
something like that, and I haven't decided fully if I'll do it yet because I'll be in LA.
Yeah.
I want to go to Erewhon and have the Haley Bieber smoothie, and I can do that after.
The hell is that?
It's like strawberries and chocolate and stuff. Does anyone know this? Yeah. I'm
Candy
like,
shaking it. Yeah.
you guys all know it.
Wait, say it. What is it again?
It's like strawberries and chocolate, and I don't know what else,
It's a
but it's the
Haley
Haley
Bieber.
Bieber smoothie, I think.
Okay.
And so,
Is
it's
this,
probably $30.
what is this restaurant?
It's a grocery store called
Oh,
Erewhon, but they
Erewhon.
have, like, a cafe.
That's hilarious.
Yes. So, anyway, like, we'll see if I do it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about earlier. You got to bust your ass,
Yeah.
go to weird places and, have fun and do weird shit.
Yes. That's true.
Well, that's sick. All right. Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
I think we're going to wrap it up there, Sharp.
Yeah. Thank you so much.